Hi, my lovelies. Thank you for joining me. I am Baine, and this is the first broadcast since my puppy Taylor passed on, and it's very sad for me. I skipped a week. I put up a memorial video of sorts of when I was drawing a picture of her, and you can see she was gallivanting with the other dogs, and they were all puppies. And also, I'm doing a real memorial video of clips of her that I've taken over the past year. She was only 8 months old. We're not sure of what took her life. We're very sad and upset about it. The It's just a very tragic moment. Now, I refer to Taylor as my emotional support puppy, but this isn't the first YouTube channel I've had with one of my pets. I can, I'll see if I can find my few years ago, right? Okay, if you can see this, um uh this is the YouTube channel I had of Dot and Ebony. They were my pet rabbits, well, our pet rabbits at the time, my whole family, and I did a little thing with them. I'll put a link up to that YouTube channel later on, and really and truly, I would you would hear me mention in the memorial video that I am creating, in the process of creating for Taylor, that I I mentioned that in my family we have had a ton of pets. I mentioned before that, which I sad to note that at the time when I was referencing Taylor and she was very sick, that my mom refers to this in our yard as a pet cemetery, but that is really her fault because I think it is that she realized that I mentioned we were going through real struggles in life because she was a single parent. She had a job, she was a clerk in a bank, but she still didn't make that much money. And she was raising three children. And then when I became a teenager, my grandmother got very sick. She had two strokes. And then a few years after that, well, she passed. And then a few years after that, my grandfather, he became ill and he was bedridden, and both of them were bedridden, my grandparents, and my mom was the only one to take care of them. And so I guess in a way she sort of figured out really early that pets were the way to go for us, even though she didn't have money for much as I grown up. Even though she didn't have much money growing up to take care of us or do much things, she still managed to maintain the mortgage on the house. The mortgage was the big deal. Um, what else? So she maintained the mortgage, and even though I had at one point persons from the bank came to take pictures of the house to and were acting as if they were going to foreclose on the house. So that was a big deal back then for us. But she managed, at least up to this point, to keep hold of the house, and she just the act of giving us opportunity to get pets were free. except for certain pets, but it wouldn't cost much money. We didn't really feed we. Yeah, we were able to maintain the pets, feed them, and things like that, and they did bring joy to our lives. So we had fish, rabbits, a lot of dogs. In fact, there was a time when my grandmother was bedridden, and then we had a nurse who would come in once in a while to look after her, to take care. And it had this one time she came in and she said to for us to try to keep our grandmother awake. She couldn't go to sleep. I don't know, maybe it is that if she went to sleep she would have gone into a coma or something, but she was like to keep her awake, make sure she doesn't go to sleep. And we let well, it was my idea to let all the dogs into the bedroom. I went outside, got the dogs, and brought them inside the bedroom, and they were on the bed with my grandmother. And we would try, and and the nurse was trying to urge my grandmother to stay awake and look the dogs, shoo the dogs away. And my grandmother was like shooing the dogs away. So yeah, that is I'll never forget that moment. So the dogs in our lives were great, and every one of them. They really uplifted us in our household, in our family. And Taylor is no exception. But this is the first time, really, that we had the opportunity to film our pets and our dogs to a great extent. Before they weren't, even in the time when we had the bunnies. Um, there wasn't a there wasn't really camera. There were camera phones, but we didn't have high end camera phones. So you will see the picture is really grainy on that YouTube video I uploaded. Like it's I think it's on. It says 8 years ago, and I'll put the link to it, and you can click on it, and you can see the bunnies jumping up and over. They're not around anymore. Sad to say they passed on since then. We had more than just Dot and Ebony. Had a really small brown one once that was in the yard, and we couldn't find it. We let it go in the yard, and we couldn't find it. It disappeared. We thought it went outside for a whole day. We just kept going around the yard looking for this tiny brown bunny. And we finally found it crouched up in a cylindrical cement pillar that we had in the yard. So that was surreal. Okay, now this is a story that I had decided to type up once something had happened with Taylor. I decided to type up this story. Now, a few months ago, my mom's made a quip that there's a zombie in the house. She was referring to just comically, because we've had a string of bad luck. For remember I said that at one point that this is my Green Lantern job. Like this job that I have right now is what Green Lantern is to Ryan Reynolds. But at least on the Green Lantern job, he met his wife, and it was a good propeller for him. And he's had success after success since then. So fingers crossed that's the same thing. That'll be the same way for me. I'll be able to put my Green Lantern job behind me. But I made a joke, at least in my head, that I'm sorry, I brought the zombie with me when I got this job. This job brought the zombie in our lives. Normally I'll get a job, or you get a job and you leave your job behind. But there's no way for that with this position. I swear that the zombie came with the job, and it infiltrated my household and my family. Now, um, but when Taylor got sick, my sister was like, you can't save any money in this house. You should have money saved and you're putting it towards something that come up. But I was like in my head, well, it's the same way how when, as soon as we were, as things were okay when we were like primary school and little, and then Granny got sick, and then that was a strain on the household, and then my grandfather got sick, and it was strain on the household. Something is always happening. You can't keep any money. It's kind of what Susie Ormond says. Something always taking place. There always kind of emergency. You can't retire early. That's what she was saying. Um, because you have to really plan, because something will always happen. Look at me with my multiple sclerosis. I didn't as soon as I went abroad on a scholarship, a full scholarship that paid for everything. I applied for funding from my government, but I didn't need the money because it was not that I needed the money, but it was for personal use. I didn't get anything for personally, but for like education and for the educational side of it, it was a full scholarship, and for room and board, the scholarship covered that at least. So I needed the money, but at least once I had room and board, that was it. But as soon as I reached, I realized that something was wrong after about a year and a half. I realized there had some medical issue, and I came back to Trinidad. I always regretted coming back to Trinidad because I realized, hey, it would have been better for me to stay abroad. I didn't get assistance or anything with my MS medication or anything for many years after I came back. And I self-diagnosed myself in 2008. But a lot of MS patients do self-diagnose themselves, and but that was a real crazy time for me, and I felt that so that you can never plan, or something is always happening. Something is always happening. My mom retired. She can't enjoy her retirement. She has arthritis in all her legs, and it's hard for her to walk about. Right? So it's like something always happening. But the one thing I've always found true is something my grandmother taught me years ago. Well, we used to have a plaque on the wall saying, God bless our home. And she used to refer to it and talk to me about it. And the gist of what I got from it is that no matter any type of dire situation, we are very lucky because God has blessed us. God looks after us. God is taking care of us no matter where we are in the world. And that is something that I always found true to form. No matter how many zombies there are trying to manipulate our situation, when a good situation starts with us, God has our backs. And there's something weird, like, I won't say weird, but an idea formed in my head that years ago, because I guess because I went to religious schools all my life, primary school, high school, even university, I got this notion in my head that our house was blessed. When my grandmother died, her spirit visited me. I felt it. When Taylor passed on, I felt her spirit move through me. I really did feel Taylor after she passed on. It's a sad moment. I held her in my arms, and I even gave her mouth to nose resuscitation and CPR for dogs, and she did come back to us for a short while the morning that she died. So I know that is out there, but I'm really glad to have been with her. Um, so what I'm trying to say is that regardless of the situation, God has our backs. That is the impression that I got my from my grandmother all those years ago when she before she passed on. And at this point last year, now our cat got feline leukemia, and he was sick for months before he passed on around this same time, Easter last year. He was a stray, and he was around, we had him maybe 3 years. So the vet said that most likely he was born with leukemia, feline leukemia, and it's so sad. He was getting better, but he suddenly took a turn for the worst around this time last year and passed on. The memorial video for me for Taylor is taking a while because I'm kind of trying to get over it, and I'm looking at videos. It's very sad, but I am putting the video together. It may turn out to be too long, so I'm trying to see what I can do. Okay, so to get it as closed off as quickly as I possibly can. Now, the thing is, I'm a practical person, meaning that many people in the past have always commented on me to say that they find that nothing gets to me. I'm cool under pressure and everything, but it's kind of weird for me that MS is a illness that propels your anxiety and makes you tearful and emotional, even though I'm not really that kind of a person. But I'm really grateful to have been involved with Taylor. She was, although all of the pets that have gone, including Dot and Ebony, and all the pets that have come and gone are really our emotional. You can't help but get emotional with a pet. All right, their emotion. I called her my emotional support puppy, but as a practical person, I didn't feel that I needed it, but that is the kind of words that you're picking up in the okay, 1 minute. Okay, so I think you missed everything that I was saying there just now. Basically I mentioned that um oh yes, I when I was working a few years ago, the short of it is that I used to get driven by a person or dropped here and there, and the weird thing about it is that he would be driving past a police officer. The police officer would be minding his own business or just directing traffic or something, and as he came across the police officer in the car, he would make sure his side window was rolled all the way up, and then he would curse the police officer. It was shocking to me. And this is something that he did all the time right through. I don't know if he was doing it. I never determined that he was doing it as just to shock me or others in the vehicle, right? I determined that this is just something that he did on a regular basis and he didn't care who was in the car. Another police officer could be in the car. As far as I can guess. And he would just curse that police officer out. So yeah, when Gary became COP, Commissioner of Police, was a very popular Commissioner of Police. I remember when they first made Gary Commissioner of Police, someone did say they will do it, and all of us were like, that's never going to happen. And then they did make Gary Commissioner of Police, but we didn't. Well, we didn't really know as much about his background. Hi. So this is the other one. This is Gigi. Yes, it's a very sad situation that she has to cope with. I mentioned in the memorial video. I will make sure to put that up this week. That they were two, Gigi and Taylor were two peas in a pod. In fact, I'm more worried about the dogs than I am of myself. Like I said, I'm a practical person. It's the emotional side comes. I often wonder if the emotional side of me comes from MS, and it's just the MS. So I am more worried about the dogs, and I'm more sad that Taylor lost her life. It was such a life of tribulation, I find, because when she came here, I mentioned in the video that you okay? You alright? You okay? You okay? You alright? Yeah, sure, I know. Yes, I know. I mentioned that when she came, she was scruffy looking, and I wasn't going to pay for any dog. As my sister was going to pay for dogs. But she came here and she looked scruffy and her hair was matted. She didn't look as if she was being really taken care of. And my sister, I got the impression that other people were scorning her because the same way that my sister sort of scorned her because she didn't look like a multiple. If you notice, Gigi and Nico, they have this long curly tail, and Taylor had a bobtail. You alright? What is going on there? Now see next dog. Anyway, the dogs are kind of a nice distraction, but I'm still, because of what happened with Taylor, I'm glad I have them running around as a part of the videos. That cause, like I showed you, the whole thing with Dot and Ebony is something that I've been doing for years. And if it's not a video, before that I had a blog. Yeah. time goes by. So um yeah. Anyway, let me get to it. My mom talked about, I was mentioning that my mom referred to, like, there been a zombie in the house. Now a zombie, another moko zombie, happy jumping about and stuff, but a zombie in the sense that an evil spirit had come into our lives and was taken over, right? Okay, a zombie, I'm reading here, is the disembodied spirit of a dead person. That is it. Supposed to haunt the living as a pale or shadowy vision, phantom. Alright, it's a spectral or haunting memory. Alright, and I'm even seeing here a zombie in the Caribbean, and it's actually spelled Jumbee. Alright, one of the most common parts of Caribbean folklore is the duppy, also called zombie. Well, they have the spelling that I have for it here, Jumbie. That's another spelling. Which means ghost or spirit. They're generally considered malevolent spirits that wreak havoc on humans, whether it's an everyday irritation. This zombie that I brought into the house is an everyday irritation or significant life-changing event. So that is what I've brought into the house with this position that I'm in right now. I brought a zombie into our lives. But it's like I said, at every juncture in our life, there's some kind of thing to try that the devil has created to keep us back. In fact, I've told my sister, same thing, basically close to what the Pope said once. But I said that the devil has anointed persons in our lives, humans that walk amongst us, to create evil and to wreak havoc in our lives. That is it. So I never I've never come across the zombie in folklore, meaning to say that I've come across Sukunya lots of times. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Rubiri. I just seen the say Victor. He's someone who has a book on the Sukunya. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it here. doggies. Hey. Ah, yes, that's why I had to wear long pants. Well, I just thought I would show this to you. This is every. I don't know why, but I keep most of my booklets that I have for my medication for my MS. Yeah, this is it. For whatever reason, I, for the most part, I don't throw them away. I just keep them. You get a big box with injections, and then inside each box is a booklet. But in any case, this is it. Actually, this is a Nancy. But I believe the Sukanya is it too. I'm not sure. But you always this book a Nancy, a book of night, and the book of night, Rubadiri. Victor. I always forget how to pronounce his first name. Rubadiri. Rubadiri. Right. A Trinidadian writer, artist. Hey. Well, in the beginning, I thought of taking the dogs and locking them away, but even if you look at the videos that I made of Dot and Ebony, those are rabbits. We mostly let them play around, and I just film them playing around, just going wherever. I remember once I was exercising, I was doing this with my hands, and I felt this stinging pain on my hand, and I looked back, and it was one of the rabbits. I believe it was Ebony. But anyway, let's get hey, let's get to the story. Yes, I've been talking for way too long. I tell myself I want to stop doing that. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hey, hey. Okay. Okay, so the story opens where a local police officer okay, one thing I wanted to mention is that with the story of the guy who used to curse out the police officer, at the time I didn't understand his deal with the police, but I have to say right now I totally get it, and I totally understand. I 100% get it. It's not something that I would see myself doing. For instance, I barely drive. Hey, hey, hey. But yeah, I totally get it. But the one thing I have to say is that all my life in Trinidad and Tobago, one thing they teach you is from the time you're a child is not to say anything bad about the police. Let's say bad about anything about the country, your prime minister, you anything. That is how you raise when you're raised the okay, no excuse me, the proper way. You're not to make say bad things about your country, especially when you leave your country. Okay, so in this scene, a police officer person who's a police officer has been a newly minted local police officer has been is speaking with his mother on the phone. Okay. Hey. Yes, and another thing that another tragic situation that happened this week was that, well, this around the same time of my pet passing, a member of our group, the MS Society of Trinidad and Tobago, passed on, and it's always sad when to see a member lose their life. One thing I always do is that I always take heed of the age of a member when they pass on, because it's kind of sad to think that there's an average age that MS patients. Oh, it's kind of sad that there's an average age that MS patients could expect to live by, and yeah, and when she passed, it was around that age, so it's very sad. I myself, when I got Taylor, I thought that, well, this is the dog that I'm going to live out the rest of my life with, because I'm nearly 50. In my mind, I'm nearly 50. I'm 40, I'll be 43 this year. So, yeah, so I've always been cognizant of the age group, and I really felt that Taylor would be the dog to, that Taylor might actually outlive me. So yes, I don't know what this Jumbie has with me and my family. Don't understand at all. Because at the end of the day, we are experiencing our own lives and our own trials and tribulations. So there is no reason for this Jumbie to try to affect our lives negatively in the way that it has. But moving right along, I don't see Jumbies. Victor wrote about a Nancy. I know someone who's written comic books for Sukunya, but I don't see Jumbies, which is weird. But I guess there's probably books out there on Jumbies, so I'll look for them and see if I can read up on them. I was thinking of not naming her, because I now think of that, but let us keep it like this. And I was never going to really name the mother, but just since it's a short story, let's keep it a certain way so you can follow through with what's going on. You okay? Your dog is okay? You're hearing something outside. Nico, jump on the bed. Oh, it's getting something good there, you know. You know, since you're young, you learn that you have to spell out numbers, not write 10, but 10. But these days, I see people using number 10, so that might change. Come, 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 come. Come, 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 come. I'll bring you, I'll bring you, I'll bring you up. Come, come. You want to come up or you want to go outside? What do you want to do? Hmm? You want to go scrub? What do you want to go outside? What do you want to do? Stay here. While you behave all yourself. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. Yeah, when our dog's name is Gigi, when we got her, that was her name, and we just never changed it. Hmm? I hope for their sakes that they live long, healthy lives. I hope Bijambi could find it within their brain to leave them alone. Because when you hurt a dog, you're not hurting the person. A pet's life, an animal's life is so short to begin with, except for like a turtle. You know, turtles almost live forever once you take care of them and treat them right. But what I would like is for them to even outlive me and to live long, healthy lives. Because I know since Taylor had passed on, that is really sad on the dogs, because they're like children and they don't understand what's going on. And when she first went to the doctor, my mom said that they were bouncing off the walls, acting crazy, biting and getting on and barking. So they kind of understand that there's something bad happening, that she was in pain and something happening with her. But I know that she's gone. I do feel it sometimes, like it is like when Georgie passed, Dusty, our cat, he came in here looking for Dusty, going on in Dusty was mainly in my room underneath the recliner, and he was smelling and looking around to see if he see Georgie. It was a real sad moment to see when pets realize that their close friend has passed on. And I remember it more now than I feel when I was younger. Even though we had 1,000,001 cats. I have to say that I just get to lighten the mood. I have to say that the funniest time for when a pet passed, our floorboards, well, the floor was made of wood, and my bedroom was half the size that it was, but I didn't stay in this room, but the floorboards were made of wood, and it was right along this side was a corridor, and Comet, a white compact we had years ago, the Comet lasted, well, he lived for like around 17-18 years. He peed on the floorboard, and I was downstairs and I was watching the stream of pee coming down from above, and it landed right in the fish tank. We had a fish tank, and we still have this small fish tank, and it was like a small fish tank like this with a with a little fish in it, and the pea came from above the and just fell right into the fish tank. The fish tank was on a buffet, and those old time buffets that keep like glasses and decanters and stuff in it, and it fell right. That is the most, I would have to say, shocking that's for a pet that we've ever had. I don't think that the fish survived that, and I'm not making that up. Back then, we didn't really potty train our dogs. We had newspaper on the ground and stuff. That's the time. The reason why we have multiples now, I mention it, is because when we had Comet and Phoebe, we had a really bad flea and tick problem. These dogs are multiples, and they're not supposed to bring in a whole set of fleas and ticks. So they got one or two from our pet. Dusty is always out the house now. And something you should know about Dusty. Dusty is we call him a special needs cat because he can't cover up his poop. All our dogs and stuff and our pets, I guess you could say it's funny, sometimes they kind of have something off about them. But we love them all the same. I think with Gigi, she snaps a lot, and the person who's selling her says that she's likes to bite. And like Nico, he has a quiet, sad disposition, but with Gigi's really bringing him out of it. And like I said, Taylor, we called her long legs and stuff like that, and reason why I named her Taylor, I used to call her Taylor Swift, because when she first came here, it was a joke that she didn't have a tail. It was a bobtail. It wasn't curled like these dogs. So I named her Taylor Swift, so she'll always have a tail, but we call her Taylor. And as you can see, just like years going by, all the dogs have a run of the house. Because Comets and Phoebe were everywhere before we got to put a little little kennel for them in the back downstairs. Anyway, focus. I hope you all are enjoying what I'm writing, but I know I'm keeping myself back. I don't see myself writing for another 20 minutes, I say what I was going to write this for the rest of the weekend, and I start late because you see I got it wrong with my eyebrows and my lipstick. It's brown for the eyebrows and lipstick not red, because I guess I was just feeling, this is my first live without Taylor, and I was just feeling a bit off and a bit sad, but I'm doing this for Taylor. Her death kind of propelled me to go in this direction. Anyway. At the end of the day, yeah, the pets and stuff are distraction and keeping me back from doing what I want to do. Whoop. One thing. Sorry. And I didn't have a real idea of how this conversation would go. I just knew that I had to get to do this conversation and gist of it. But really and truly, until you're actually in the moment writing and typing, you're not really sure what to say or do, you know. Whoa! She find my medication. It was underneath the pillow. I keep it close to make sure I take it, because lots of times I'll just be. Sometimes I just don't bother to take it. They try to take it at night. I'm ready to go to sleep. Okay. Nothing else there. Nothing else there. Oh, I have a special story to tell you all about Taylor. I didn't share it with in the video I was going to talk about her. Once a night a few weeks ago, I won't tell it now, I'll tell it another time. I talked too long initially for this type in here. I don't like to mention her name too often. Because sometimes I feel like it just sets them off. Like I feel like, let me see. Like, see Gigi there, TT as I mentioned, TT name. That is where TT used to be. Wait a minute, I used to call her TT. I just started to call her TT so that the dogs won't know that I'm talking about her. I got the impression that, you know, Gigi just went behind the recliner. Of course, that could just be in my head, but she doesn't normally go behind the recliner. But as I mentioned, TT, that was her space. So now she getting, you know, Gigi getting pensive and smelling around. You know, it's real sad. I know. It's okay. Oh, and I've been doing this for too long. The battery on the camera is really low. But I know I have this is really the main camera. This is the real main camera. See here where it says Jambi? It's embodied spirit of a dead person. Okay. I don't think that this is a normal statement in America or any part of the globe, but Trinidadians say, please God, regularly. So be tomorrow, please God, as like a salutation or embellishment. And that is it. I know, one of these days I'm going to go through what I am writing, and I'm going, well, my lives, and I'm going to create, just join up all the writing together in one thing, and all the talk, and separate it from all the talk, and give all the writing parts names. But I'm tired right now and I'm really hungry, so I'm going to cut it short. I might go again this afternoon, but the reason for that is because I don't really like applying the makeup. So is to do the long sessions is so that my makeup is on, and that's how it is, because I know this is a live thing. Alright, so my makeup is on, so I try to type and do the work, because I'll have to go about doing the work again another time. Okay, right. I know that's stupid. That's ridiculous. But this is how it is. Thank you, my lovelies, for joining me. I hope you liked and you really appreciate that passage. My goal is to create a short story. Very short story. Okay? Right. And now, my apologies for taking so long and for so much time passing. I know I have to become more steady in my work. I can't rely on stuff. I think that I was putting, well, yeah, for the past like 20 something years, I didn't have like anything to depend on to write. And to be fair, I would wake up early in the morning and start to write. That was, I really had a schedule when I was doing SBRA books 1, 2, 3, and even 4. But then I became sloppy in my attentiveness to work on those things. And to be honest, it was because more of my work I was doing outside, they say that, like when I had a job or something, it just life itself was a distraction. Even as you're seeing these dogs playing about here, that's life, and having to deal with life became a distraction. And I have MS, so, and sometimes I have a relapse, and that would just keep me back. And the type of jobs I would take would put a strain on me. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but I realized that all of these things turn out to be a distraction that I could do without. Yes, so I think I know what I need to do to really get my brain and myself into focus. I hope I do well and I could really maintain this kind of focus. Well, fingers crossed, I could. Oh, and one other thing I just want to mention, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I took Taylor's ashes to church and got it blessed, and the priest blessed it. And he didn't make me feel foolish about it at all. And I'm so happy for that. That's the one thing, like I was mentioning before. And a dog's life is just so iffy, really. And the dogs don't, and pets and animals don't live long, and they depend on us random citizens to survive. I'm not bigging up myself, but before TT passed on, I gave her collar to someone, and I bought a chain for her, and my sister didn't like it because it's a regular silver chain. I bought another strap for her to use, and I believe I gave the chain to the same person. And I have to check around here to make sure you all saw all these things. I push everything into one corner to make things more accessible to Titi as she was sick. I believe she was poisoned, but that is just, and I can't prove that, but her illness, so to speak. So, other than that, I haven't accused anybody of anything. I just mean that she ingested some kind of toxin. And when we went to the vet, we were like, what could be affecting her? We just name things. Chocolate, we don't give them chocolate. We don't give them this and that. But I was wondering, my mom had mentioned a few weeks ago about she sprayed pawpaw. She was going to spray pawpaw leaves, but I thought that might have been it. But then she said, no, she didn't spray the pawpaw leaves. And I know I usually give them pawpaw leaves, but I haven't been. And they haven't been around the pawpaw tree. So we don't know what had gotten into her, but luckily it did not affect the other two dogs. Maybe because it's a kind of foreboding time, because Georgie passed on at this time, that last year, that I kind of suspected something was going to happen. That's just inside of me. I believe that God tells us stuff and gives us hints, and that is my spiritual belief, that God is with us all the time, right through. He knows and sees everything. And a part of me believes that a lot of people say that life and death is in the power of the tongue. A part of me just doesn't believe that. A part of me believes that some things are written in stone. Yeah, you might have control of your own fate depending on what you decide to do and stuff and that kind of thing, and I believe that regardless, Taylor is with God, and that God looks after us, like I mentioned before, like what my mom taught, my grandmother taught me, that you can't get past God. God sees all and He knows all, and you might be, and I always believe too that this here, this skin and bones, this here is here to trick us. This whole world, a part of me believes that this whole world God created to trick all of us into doing the wrong thing. Because the main thing for God is that He get believers and righteous people and good people, people who do the right thing, into heaven. That is all God cares about, All God cares about is getting the right people into heaven. So, our relationships, everything that is created here on earth, money, cars, fame, with my job, the most important thing for me to do was to get certain things, because that's what I do whenever I get it. I will explain that there's a segment I actually want to talk really those things in, but about it was important for me to get my big screen TV, my exercise bike, because I had one. I bought one a few years ago, but it mashed up, so I need to get a new one because of my MS. Whenever I get a new job, I try to put things in place so that I can live a certain way, and so I don't have to depend on anyone once that job gone. It's a long story. I said I have to create a separate segment in my life to explain about me, how I take care of myself, my MS, my job, what I normally. I'm hoping to stop doing that kind of thing. Okay, forget that. What I mean to say is that everything here is here to trick us into doing the wrong thing. Posturing and everything is here to trick us to do the wrong thing. And so, yes, we're here to you here, and I am here, and everyone here is here to take care of each other. But the main thing is to do the right thing. And all that matters is that is why everybody dies. All that matters is that what's going to happen to you at the end of your life. Yeah, that is why sometimes I like to think about um, Nobel and the Nobel Peace Prize. I remember the story. I believe it is that his obituary was posted in the papers prematurely. He was not dead, and he was shocked at the bad things people were saying about him, and the newspapers what they were saying about him, because they thought he was dead. And that is why he created the Nobel Prize, the Peace Prize, and all that. That is why he created the prize out of all the money he had. He was like, this is how people are going to remember me when I'm dead. And then, but at the same time, the memories and how people think about you and stuff when you're gone, is that what really matters when you're dead? Or is it what happens to yourself and your soul and your body when you're dead? Yes, I'm supposed to have a segment where I talk about my spiritual belief system and stuff like that. Um, but I expound more on that separate to me typing. So it's called Baine inspiration, something like that. I'm hoping to help other persons out with that, like when they do that, because you never know. I believe that God reaches out to people, and you never know. You find yourself in crisis, and then you will be like, oh, and it's that one voice that you hear over and over telling you something that you need to hear in that moment that really helps you out. That is my spiritual belief. God does not forsake us. People might be zombies in our lives and create fatigue for us to have to deal with. But God sees all and He knows all. And to Him, it's frustrating, but in it, God's mind is like, everybody dies and He takes care of everybody. This person is harming you, but when this person is dead, their soul, He's gonna pluck it out and He's just gonna drop it out and give it to the devil. And that is His point. Is his belief is that the world, the way it is, works. And it is unfortunate that bad things happen to us, but He is taking care of the good souls. He's taking care of all the dogs, the cats, the cows, and everything when they pass on. And taking care of all our pets. When they pass on, and then He's like, He knows that you're suffering, that you're sad, and everything, but He sees all and He knows all. And He's taken care of the bad persons. There's no lamb's blood on that person's, no amount of lamb's blood on that person's house is going to make the spirit pass over their house. They are going to the devil. Just the way it is. And there's nothing to see there for Him to say that He doesn't believe there's anything for Him to have to explain. Okay? So, like, I didn't accuse anyone of poisoning my dog or my cat. I looked up what was going on with her, and it was like a slowly developing process or toxin that was just in my head. And I was talking to the vet, and we were saying like what could be causing this thing to her. And the vet didn't know, and the vet and one of the vets offered to do an autopsy on her for free, on our dog. So when Taylor was alive, the vet saw Taylor the evening before she passed on. So Taylor got a lot of love and care from everyone. The only thing I could say that I regret. The only thing I could say that I regret is that I wanted to see her organs. She got a multitude of blood tests that did not show anything, and I wanted to see her organs. And it wasn't until after she had passed they said that her organs were experiencing a lot of issues, like her liver and her kidneys and stuff like that. So that is what I regret most of all. I wanted to see her organs, but I wasn't able to get that opportunity, and I thought we had more time, that she would get better as time went on, and that did not take place. My poor cat. Okay, this is Dusty. Bye. Yeah, unlike the dogs, Dusty really sheds. Okay, so I'm gone too long already. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this passage. And if you would much rather me take these passages separate to the videos and leave them in a structured way available so you all could read, I'll appreciate letting me know. All right. Bye.